Hello everyone and welcome to the April 2022 episode of the Great British Mickey Waffle. I'm Becca and as always I'm not alone. So joining me tonight are Ben.
Hello.
Claire.
Hi.
John.
Hello.
Peter.
Uh-oh.
And Gill.
Hi.
How are you all?
Good.
Yeah, I'll do.
Peter seems to have been replaced by a Teletubby.
I was going to say our
Which one are you, Peter?
No Tinky Winky Joe here.
Or are you the sun in the sky?
Yeah, I got
yeah, that's it. Oh dear, yeah. We're all right, thank you, Becca. Yeah,
Yes, I think so.
yeah, I'm going to wait to start a show. I'm just
already.
Yeah, so anyone who's listening not familiar with the Teletubbies, just don't even Google it. It's just not worth it.
Just
It's
on
just
YouTube and lose a few hours of your life and go, what was that?
Nobody can actually explain ever what that children's TV program was ever possibly meant to be about. So, yeah, file under magic roundabout, I think.
As I said last time we talked about the Teletubbies, the follow-up series was worse. Wasn't it?
There was a follow-up series.
Boobar.
Yes.
Boobar.
Not fit for children's viewing.
Boobar. Look up Boobar. Go back and look up Boobar.
Really?
I have to.
Yes.
Is it a
I
requirement?
apologise for all of our viewers and listeners. I'll put the link to this in the show notes.
Teletubbies or Boobar?
I'll do both.
Sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Might have
We can always
to
edit this
check
bit
the
out.
other one out. I've not even looked at that. That's it.
I've not heard of them.
Okay, appearing soon on a dodgy Twitter channel near you. I think that's it.
I think what we should do is we should spring forward.
Spring forward. Yeah, we
Well
have done last weekend. Well,
Last weekend.
last weekend.
Thank goodness for that. I tell you what, that's the biggest pain in the neck known to mankind is when America is on a different time zone than the whole of the UK. That I can't get my head around it, and it's just like when my dad lives in Boston.
John,
They usually are.
they always are.
No, but I can live with 5. I can live with 5 hours. I constantly live with the 5-hour bit. It's just that you don't know whether it's 4 hours or 6 hours, and it's just like, no, I just won't call. It's just let's just leave it. Let's just wait until we get there. That's
Just
fine.
wait the 2 weeks gap.
Yeah.
Try
Exactly, Ben.
Try landing in America on the night that their clocks.
I know.
That's what
We've
we
done
did
that.
last time. Yeah, we've done that. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just crackers in it. Yeah.
So
And
you
Woke
think-
up at 2 a.m, went back to sleep, woke up again. It was still 2 a.m.
and then there's the central time in America as well. Where if
But
you
not
go to
all of it's central time. So
No.
some of the central region changes and some doesn't. It's insane.
So you landed in Chicago and you think it's the same time in Chicago as it was in New York, and it's not. It's another hour. I just
It's crazy.
No,
Blows
it's
my
just-
mind.
Thank goodness it is on the road to summertime. That's the only way I could actually see. We can put all of that winterness behind us. We can sort of just breathe in the smell of pollen once again.
No, I'm dying.
As long as it doesn't turn my hay fever up,
Yes, I was going to say.
There you go. You see.
because that's not fun.
So if there's any
Us
sneezing
British
during this
love moaning
episode,
about something.
We
don't
do.
we?
On the plus side, the nights are getting lighter. The days are getting
Exactly.
longer.
It's not the time change, it's the pollen.
Yeah. It's just,
Should we be,
Well,
should we be
where I
positive
live in
about
Lancashire
something?
Major, we had an early grass pollen season this year, like January.
pollen watch at the Great British Mickey Waffle.
Well, I had grass.
I'm sure this is not our USP. I'm fairly aware that we usually talk about something else.
It's now the Great British Mickey weather.
maybe we're trying
The
to
Great
reach out
British
to the
weather.
Gardener's World sort of population and things like that. Like,
We'll be on the shipping forecast next.
No,
Get us
I'm
back
not
on
going.
brand, Becca.
I'm not going there with me.
Back on brand.
No,
Tonight we're talking about everything Disneyland Paris, from planning a trip to what the 30th celebration.
Sorry.
Why can I not say the word anniversary?
Maybe you tried 30th anniversary. That's it. Yeah, 30th.
30th
Third time
anniversary. Right. 3, 2, 1. So tonight we're talking about everything Disneyland Paris, from planning a trip to what the 30th anniversary celebrations look like. But up first, it's Ben's turn to face our updated carousel of questions. You ready?
Not really.
No?
But let's give this a go.
Let's give it a go.
It can't be that difficult.
So
I don't know. Everyone else has found it difficult, Ben. It's just
Yeah.
I'm confident at the minute. I have no questions yet, so I'm confident.
that's it.
And again, out the way.
Okay.
So, when did you first step into a Disney park?
Okay, so first Disney park was Disneyland Paris in 1997, and then first was in Walt Disney World for a honeymoon in 2013.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Here's the hard one. Which
Okay.
Pixar character do you most relate?
Okay, it Rex from Toy Story.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Oh, cool. What a great answer.
Yeah, anxiety, everything, just overthinking things, thinking things aren't going to go right. I've even got a T-shirt, which I should have worn for tonight. It says, I'm a nervous Rex.
Oh,
Aw.
That is, do you know something? That's the
I
best
can see
answer
you
we've
as
had so
Rex.
far. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's the best answer we had to that so far, Ben. Yeah. And I can now see somebody sitting at home thinking, right, we can change all those photos on the Great British Mickey Waffle webpage. We just have Ben's face on the dinosaur all the time.
Maybe what we should do is we change all the profile pictures on the website once we've all done
Once we've all done
our
this.
Pixar
to our Pixar
character.
characters. Yeah,
Yeah.
do that.
That'll be good. I like that. That's a good idea. And my question's next. Ben, this sounds really odd coming from another bloke. What's your favourite bathroom?
Okay, there's so many bathrooms at Walt Disney World, as we know. And 2 years ago, we went through quite a few of them. And I think I chose Sonar back then, was one that I like. But one that I don't think a lot of people talk about are the ones that are in Norway.
Ah,
That's all ones that don't really get much of a shout. And I think they're quite nice. They're never busy.
yeah. That's always the key part, the good bathrooms, really. It's the ones that are out the way, the ones that nobody knows about.
Oops.
There we go.
Yeah.
And lots of people who don't know where the Norway one is will now go and just try and find them. So
Yeah.
we're not going to tell you where they are. You're going to have to go and find them yourself.
Well, there's a great big Norway pavilion there, so that'll be a clue.
I was going to say it's an Animal Kingdom. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
No one will find it there.
No, good one.
Okay, my question. What is your favourite Disney mountain?
I'm going to get killed probably if I don't say Big Thunder. But
It's your favourite, not my favourite.
Okay, it's going to be Expedition Everest.
Okay.
I've not been as you all know, I'm not a coaster junkie. And it took me quite a while to plug up the courage to go on this attraction, and it's my favourite. And I can't wait to go back and go straight back on it as soon as if it's open by the time we get back out there. Because it's still under refurb at the minute.
And what's your favourite thing about it?
It's going up and just knowing you're going quite high and you get some amazing views. You
I thought you were going to say going up then going down again.
It's the best mountain. You go up and you go back down.
And when they were up, and when they were down, they were down. They were just like, they're only halfway up.
No, we don't talk about the Duke of York at the moment.
No.
No.
Right.
No, it is the views because just even when you get right to the top and the track disappears. So I'm going to carry on with this while everyone else falls apart. So I will keep the show together.
Yeah, good on you, Ben. Thank you.
You have to do the host.
I think you're on your own, but you're doing a great job.
Well
Yeah.
done.
I'm with you, Ben. Go on.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So-
Don't worry.
Yeah, once the track disappears and then you're sort of stuck there for, I don't know, 30 seconds, if that, and then you go back and then you see Yeti and it's just, you do feel like you're going upside down as you go back. It's just that feeling, that thrill.
The other
Makes a really
question
good
that you
mountain.
ask everybody who's been on there is, have you taken a hair elastic on?
Oh, of course.
Oh, Ben's hair, I would have thought.
And obviously, yes,
See, I had hair before I went on the ride. It's what happened the first time. So I didn't just lose a hairband, I lost the hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just spotted dreadlocks at the top of those.
Oh, I think I know what the answer is going to be to this, but who is your favourite villain and why?
Oh, that's a difficult one. This one, there's so many good villains. And I know that sounds a
Bit of an oxymoron.
But
I am
only
bad
villains
guy, but
that
I am not bad guy.
I'm going to go with Scar.
Yes,
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah,
it.
nothing beats Jeremy Irons. Not the updated one with the dreadful version of Be Prepared,
Yes.
but definitely Scar.
I'm surrounded by idiots. Yes.
Yep.
And you're sat next to me when you said that.
We all are, Peter.
Don't. This is just ridiculous. There's people listening to this who are either out
There's
walking
nobody listening.
they're walking the dog. They're just walking the dog naturally, and they're just filled with the sound of people just giggling uncontrollably. And actually,
Oh, dear.
imagine someone even driving. You imagine I'm taking no responsibility for anybody who has any accidents whilst driving. Listen to this show.
Stay safe, people. Stay safe.
I'll be health and safety monitor.
Get your badge.
Maybe we should have put a warning in at the beginning. Do not listen to while driving.
Oh.
Yeah, may cause uncontrollable giggling.
That's just for us.
Yeah, exactly. Oh dear.
So, what Epcot World Showcase country is your must-do?
All of them. You have to walk through all of them. I'm going to go France. It's the patisserie that sells it. It's nice that Ratatouille's there now, so it's nice. There's more to do there, but the ice cream that we've had in France before is very nice. I'm looking forward to trying the creperie at some point.
Have you had the Grey Goose slushy?
No, not yet. I did like the brie bowl we had at the Fest of the Arts.
Yep.
That was amazing.
That sounds good.
Excellent. So, Ben, which is your favourite land in Magic Kingdom?
I'm going to say Adventureland. It's got sort of Jingle Cruise, the music, the way it changes when you go from sort of Main Street and head into it, you just feel worlds apart. And then our favourite snack, Citrus Swirl.
Not there anymore.
Well, hopefully it might make a comeback.
It'll
But
be back.
it's nice. We have a tradition just to sit down and have Citrus Swirl and a Coke. And apparently it's Carlos's secret spot.
Is that where you sit for that?
Yep.
Ooh. I've never sat in that area, but
It's really good.
yeah.
It's not very secret, but
No.
That's the area, the covered area next to the...
No, opposite, where
Opposite.
almost at the base of the tree, the Swiss Family Robinson treehouse.
Oh, right, okay.
There are some
okay.
benches that face away from
Yeah.
Adventureland, and you can sort of sit around there.
Okay.
Noted.
Really good, really good. Don't tell everybody. This is an interesting one because actually I know that you've had the actual pleasure of seeing more of the new stuff of this as well than anybody else. So, what's your favourite nighttime parade or fireworks spectacular at Walt Disney World?
okay. That's a very difficult one, and I've probably got lots of answers. If I'm thinking parade, there's only one I've actually seen, which would be Main Street Electrical. And it's good, but I preferred watching Spectrum Magic on YouTube versus seeing Main Street Electrical Parade. So, overall, for a fireworks show, oh no, I've just thought of another one that I forgot that's coming back this year, which is Phantasmic.
Oh,
I'm going to reserve judgment on Phantasmic for a minute because I want to see what they do to it later this year. But favourite is going to be Happily Ever After,
Okay.
closely followed by Harmonious, which might get me thrown out of here with the magic.
Ooh.
And there was I subliminally wearing my Illuminations t-shirt.
Illuminations what, John?
Yeah, which one?
There can be only one. Sorry,
We go on.
Yeah. No, I'm we are one. But yeah.
Do you know what?
Good answer.
It's going to be difficult because next time when we're out there, hopefully we'll see Phantasmic. I want to see Harmonious again and Enchantment. But Enchantment didn't have that same feel as Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm intrigued into that, and I think this is why this question is going to take on so many different connotations, not just for all of us, but also for guests that we have on the mid-month show as well, because it depends on what you've seen at different times.
Yeah.
It depends on how much of the new stuff that you've actually seen in person. You know, because I know that you had the real pleasure of seeing Epcot Forever as well, didn't you?
Yes, I loved it.
And I think that one for me sticks out far more so than Harmonious. I could actually imagine
even with
now,
the barges.
well, I don't think you could get them jet skis around the lake anymore, could you? You know, it's just like you just
Big
have a
tacker
jet
in the
ski
way.
That'd be a challenge. Straight over.
So they could jump through it.
Evil Cunning.
Ring of Fire.
Bulldozing. Did you say Ring of Fire? That'd be amazing. Burn the tacos, burn the Stargate. And that'd be
John, talking of your T-shirt that says Illuminations, did anyone see what happened at the DVC Moonlight Magic event?
I did
week?
see that. I did. It was amazing.
They had a special sort of not fireworks show, but they had a few
homage.
To Illuminations. So you had the music being played all around World Showcase, and things appearing on the screens on the tacos.
Yes,
as we call
and
them.
Still, people said it was still better than Harmonious. I bet it started that whole debate once again. And I think it's just like everyone said, we still miss gathering round the fireside every evening and just wait for that. Yeah, I can't even go there because I love it. But that's just wait.
You'll get your turn.
I'll get my turn. But Ben, what a really good choice. Thank you.
Okay, favourite restaurant outside of the parks?
Okay, can this include resorts or is it just off-site?
Well,
I think we've had a mixture, haven't we?
Yeah.
We've had Downtown Disney, so I can't... Sorry. Disney Springs.
We've gone back in time.
We're that good.
Yeah.
We borrowed your time machine, Claire.
Ooh, that...
Either gone back in time or gone to California, one or the other.
Well,
but...
I think I'm going to go for Ale and Compass.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. I do prefer a nice breakfast to dinner, just because normally we're up early and it's quite nice. And
Surprised you said that.
We were all surprised, Becca.
I'm here to shock you. But no, it's one that I know that we've had quite a few good meals there, especially for breakfast. Sort of so one for lunch, but it's one that I think is good value. There's quite a varied choice on the menu now. A lot of the stuff has returned post sort of 2020.
Yep.
And yeah, it's nice to get there, especially when Epcot was opening at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock. You get there sort of about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock and spend a bit of time just walking around, seeing the boardwalk and beach club, yacht club, and then finally going into Epcot.
Cool. And I have the last question. Food and wine or flower and garden?
Part of me wants to say Festival of the Arts, but I know that's not the question. We've done food and wine more, but from what I remember of flower and garden, I preferred flower and garden.
Right.
There's less drunk people walking around Epcot. Maybe it's just the time of week we went, but
yeah, I think Saturdays are generally pretty.
Yeah.
Avoid Epcot and
Yeah.
Cool. Oh. Well, thanks, Ben. That was amazing.
It was, wasn't it? I love this set. I love this set of questions. If anyone's listening as well, who just sort of, get in touch with us on the Wafflers Arms. If you've got a different choice, if you've got your own point of view about Ben's answers, then our Facebook community, the Wafflers Arms, is a good place. Drop in there just because you didn't choose your favourite.
I'm expecting it from Jason because I recommended Harmonious.
But do share with us now if you've got a particular response to one of those questions. Then get in touch with us because we'd love to hear from you. We always do. And the questions don't get any easier for any of us because I've thought about 4 different answers this month than I did last.
I finally think I figured out my Pixar character. So
keep it to yourself until it's your turn.
Don't tell us.
But of course, those later on, who answer the questions later on, are going to get stuck on things like mountain and things like that because you're running out of things to.
No, it's your favourite. It doesn't matter if someone else said it.
It's all personal.
Personal choice. Personal choice.
I think the problem is if it's the more time you've got to think about it as well.
Yeah, you can change your mind so many times.
Yeah.
So, kicking off our Disneyland Paris month with a bit of Disneyland Paris planning discussions. So how does everybody start their planning for a Disneyland Paris trip?
By considering Florida and thinking it's too expensive.
See, I'm the other way around. I thought I was going to be the smart aleck and say we were going to go to Disneyland Paris, and then suddenly we realised it was going to cost us so much. We went to Florida instead because that's generally the way it works here. So,
John, at the minute, it used to be like that, but look at the flight prices now and everything. It's
But then you also have the difficulty that you live up north.
In the north.
Up north.
Isn't north just past the M25?
Yeah, anything past the M25.
Up the North Mountain.
Your option is kind of drive for 3 days or get a plane.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There's plenty of planes from Manchester, though.
Unlike us,
but he's the other side of the. He's on the wrong side of the Pennines.
Yeah,
and I think that's another thing. Before we start that, and this also influences my opinion massively, because if you live down in the south of England, it's within touching distance because of the train situation. You can actually get on the Eurostar very quickly. The further north you are, and equally Peter and Jill are in the west of the country. And it is a pain to actually try to get yourself to, particularly to London. Let's start with that. Once you get to London, you can actually get to Disneyland Paris really quickly and seamlessly. It's the get into London bit, and it's that's where it becomes problematic. And I think we did time it. If I planned to go to New York, not to Orlando, if I was planning to go to New York, I could get to New York in the same time as it would take me to get to Disneyland Paris. And that's the quintessential part of my argument as to one, where I want to go, and secondly, where we end up going. And that's not to take away from either way. But that's I'll put that out there.
Door to door.
That's amazing.
So it'd take us the same amount of time to get up to John's as it would to get to Disneyland Paris.
And if I was in the car, it's longer for me to get to London.
Yeah. Having said that, last week we went to Disneyland Paris. We were 20 minutes in the taxi getting to Cardiff Airport. We were about an hour in the air.
With Vueling.
Yep. We got there really quickly last time.
And we're not that far from Bristol either.
Yeah.
So Bristol.
Yeah. So there are options.
The only problem with Vueling is they fly to Orly, which is
not as close as it.
That's close, and it's really confusing. Orly is a very confusing airport.
Yep.
We found this out, didn't we?
Yes. We did.
Okay. So how long was the trip? And this is getting right into it already because I wasn't expecting that. How long was it to get from Orly Airport? to get to Disneyland Paris? Because if you're at
about
Charles
an
de
hour.
Gaulle, about an hour. Okay.
About an hour by
Depending on traffic.
We booked a transfer.
Booked a transfer.
Yeah. And the transfer from Charles de Gaulle takes about 40 minutes. Transfer from Orly takes about an hour, depending on traffic.
You do hit a lot of traffic when you're coming out of Orly during the day, though.
And it's slightly more expensive.
Yeah.
But that wasn't a problem. The problem was that we touched down in Terminal 2 and we then were sort of shoved down the stairs and onto a bus, which took us to Terminal 4. Only when you're actually in a terminal, it's quite hard to see what terminal you're in. And we didn't know we were in Terminal 4. So we stood in immigration for ever and ever and ever. And when we finally got through, the poor guy who was picking us up was like, "Where are you? You're supposed to be here. Stand at this place." And I'm, "Where are we? Don't know. We don't know what terminal we're in. We don't know where this thing is." And it took us a good half hour of constant phone calls. "Where are you? Send me a picture." So, yeah.
So, Becca, I think your question was, how do you start planning your trip? And I think for me, the first thing I consider is how much time I have.
Yeah.
And how much time I want in Disneyland Paris, because obviously majority of people, when they go to somewhere like Orlando, they're going for 10 days, maybe a week, 10 days, 2 weeks, longer if you're John. And Disneyland Paris, you really don't need to be there anywhere near that amount of time. So I think that's my starting point, is how much time do I have? So I think most Disneyland Paris currently, in its current state, which has some building work going on in the Studios Park, I think the recognised sort of sufficient requirement is probably 2 nights. So 3 days, 2 nights is enough to do. It's very much on sort of akin to Disneyland and California Adventure, that, you know, a couple of days, maybe 3, to pick up the bits that you haven't necessarily been able to pick up those first 2 days if you want to see the shows or another version of the parade, is probably sufficient. So if you've only got 3 or 4 days, then Disneyland Paris is a really great trip. If you've got a week or longer, it's probably not going to hit the bill, to be honest with you. I think if you went for more than 4 days, you might get a bit bored, unless you tie it in with trips to Paris Central and things like that.
I think if it's a really busy time, then you might need that 4th day. You might need that if
you've got middle of summer holidays.
Yeah, or if you've got small children who don't move very quickly, or equally elderly people who might not move very quickly. Or you just like taking your time. You know, I think there is something about the fact that there isn't sufficient new attractions to keep you busy for more than about 3 days. If you don't mind repeating, or you want the opportunity to go back and do something that you haven't been able to do, or because the queue is too long, or you want to be able to go back and re-ride Big Thunder Mountain twice in a day, once in the day, one in the evening, you know, that sort of thing, then, you know, 4th day might be useful, but it isn't necessary.
No, I agree.
And with to sort of speed through the time, you've also got was it Premier Access? So it's a bit like Genie, where you can pay for the attractions, individual attractions too. So if you are there on a shorter time, if say you're, I don't know, flying from America, doing a stop in the UK, want to try Disneyland Paris, because it is only a 2.5 hour train journey from London to Disneyland Paris. Do a couple of days there. You can pay for that express option if you want to get.
If there's something you're desperate want to do, absolutely.
Our one of the first questions we ask is whether we want to stay on site or off site. We prefer on site.
Let's be honest. Whether our budget allows us to stay on site.
I was going to say, what are the deciding factors for you around that?
If money was no object, I'd be on site every time. Frankly, it's not that different in terms of proximity, but I just love being in the bubble. I love being able to walk 10 minutes and be in the park.
So long as you stay in the correct areas, it's not that difficult to get to Disneyland Paris from Val d'Europe. So long as you stay in Val d'Europe, you're pretty much fine. You can walk 10 minutes, 15 minutes from some of the hotels to Disneyland Paris, and it's a one-stop on the train from Val d'Europe station, and there are lots of hotels around Val d'Europe station.
See, that's different to what we've booked, actually. We've gone for the B&B hotel.
Okay.
Because Google Maps says it's a 10-minute walk from there to Santa Fe.
Right.
Okay.
So it's as long as you're within sort of, I think it's probably the opposite side of Val d'Europe, isn't it?
Yeah.
So is it worth just saying that, Disneyland Paris has 6 hotels that belong, 6 and Ranch Davy Crockett, that belong to the resort. Yeah. And then there are, just like in Orlando and California, there are a number of sort of partner hotels that are nearby within, as Peter said, a very short journey, but they aren't part of Disneyland Paris itself. Yeah. A lot of them you can book via the Disneyland Paris website and get a package in the same way that you might, including the Center Park style venue, which is next door to Ranch Davy Crockett. So there are opportunities. Yeah, and that's the French. It belongs to the Center Parks group.
Yeah.
So there are opportunities to stay off-site that are nearby and are sort of validated by Disneyland Paris. However, DLP itself has those 6 hotels, one of which is down for refurb at the moment. That actually, if budget is an issue on the I sound like a travel agent. On the website, they now have a comparison tool. So you can go on and you can look at when the busy times and when the cheap time, when the expensive times and the cheap times are, because the rack rate is titrated depending on how busy it's going to be. So if you're going to go on Bastille Day, expect to pay more for your hotel room compared to the week before. So I think it's quite useful to use that as a gauge, because it tells you also when the French schools are on holiday, because you can see the prices shoot up. And you can sometimes pick up a massive bargain staying on site. Yeah. And it, the difference often is that the on-site cost includes your park tickets. Whereas the off-site hotels often don't include your park tickets unless you specifically choose that. If you've got an annual pass, that's absolutely fine. You can do what you want and stay where you want. And I think that's what you and Becca are doing, isn't it, Ben? You've got annual passes and therefore doesn't matter to you.
The only issue I think we have found, not with our annual passes, is because it's not a dated ticket, that we've had to go on availability of park reservations. So we had to change our plans slightly. But
I think we brought it forward by a couple of days and made it a midweek trip rather than a weekend one.
I think let's come back to the ticket situation, because that's a whole other big
that's a whole different can of worms.
I think what you've picked up there is that midweek is always going to be cheaper, because people are going for 2 or 3, maybe 4 days. Midweek is always going to be cheaper. The weekends at Disneyland Paris generally are hugely busy because everyone goes. The locals get a cheap pass, they get a discounted annual pass, and it will get crazy Saturdays and Sundays. Saturdays particularly, especially if there's something seasonal. So Halloween, Christmas, New Year on a Saturday it really, really gets so busy. And the crowd control is not the same type of crowd control you get in Orlando. So if you're going expecting managed park crowds, people being filtered into different areas so that they're avoiding bunching and big long queues and surges of people, you don't get that management at Disneyland Paris. It is a bit of a you-free-for-all. So that's a little bit of a word of experience and warning to people, that if you've got small children, and you want to have a really great experience, which everybody does, I would avoid Saturdays and Sundays near Christmas and New Year or at Halloween.
The other thing that we find is to take care of the Spanish holidays as well, because lots of people come from Spain specifically to DLP, and it can get really, really busy on the Spanish holidays.
Yeah, not as busy as the French, but
not the French, obviously, but
So that's an interesting point, Peter, because actually there is nothing to stop you going on to, when you go onto the Disneyland Paris website, selecting a different country. You can translate the webpage if you're going through a browser that allows you to do that. And you can actually look at the cost and book through the Spanish website. We've done it through the Italian website, through the Dutch website. And each country will get different offers at different times, depending on their holidays and the promos that are going on. So actually, we've had a French version, an Italian version. I think we've had a Dutch version. We haven't
Yeah,
done
we've done
Spanish
the
ones because they seem to be more expensive.
Our first
and then-
DLP trip was through
The French
one
website.
because we were literally
Exactly.
booking it a week out, and it was like, okay, what offers are going to be on? And
Yeah.
generally, it's going to be from locals more than it is going to be because when I went on the UK one, it was like going to be looking at the next half term or Christmas, and we were looking in August.
Yeah.
So not only can you find out when it's busy for that country in terms of the school holidays, but you can actually pick up a bargain that you wouldn't get on the UK website. And people shouldn't be scared to do that. It's perfectly okay to do it. Be aware that your paperwork that you get emailed will be in the language of the country in which you have booked. So we had Italian terms and conditions come through. You can translate it. You can get it translated on the website by copying and pasting and using translate service, but don't expect it to come through in English, and make sure you read what it says. So that's the only word of caution I would suggest needs to be.
Well, you have to pay in the currency of the nation that you're in.
Yeah, you'll pay in euros or
depending where you are. Yeah.
So it helps if you have some sort of card that doesn't have fees.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is that there's a difference between the Disneyland Paris website and also the Walt Disney Travel Company website.
Definitely.
And sometimes, they're both valid Disney sites. They're just different branches of the company. And depending the time of year, the offers that are on, you might find it's usually only about £15 different, but there might be a slight difference. So if you're looking for every single cost saving option, do compare the two.
And if you're doing a package with transport as well, adding that into it, sometimes that can be...
That can make a massive difference, yeah. So those are probably where I would start.
I would say as a general rule of thumb, it's cheaper to book transport yourself, but that's not always going to be the case. No. But,
I would agree.
Price cap.
Yeah, that's true.
In fact, I don't think I've ever booked transport with my package. I think I've only ever done it separately.
One of the advantages of certain packages is I believe they still do the luggage transfer.
But you can do that anyway.
You
don't need to do the
€25 now. It's not
but
cheap.
you don't need to, you don't need to do that.
No,
you still have to pay for it, even if you book transport with the Disneyland Paris package. You still have to pay the same cost. So you need to. You can actually just go onto the Disneyland Paris website and book that separately. And if you haven't done that, you can even just walk up to the desk when you're in the station at Disneyland Paris. So what Peters was talking about, for people who don't know, is there is a luggage transfer service from the Marne Ballet station. It's up on the 4th floor. The top floor of the, I was counting from the station level. So you go up the escalator from when you get into the station. Escalator's just in front of you. You go upstairs, and they have drop-off zone just in front of the escalator near the Eurostar check-in. It is, and actually you can pay for it there, and they'll take your bags from you and deliver them to your hotel. And you can do it reverse on the way back, so you can drop them at the luggage room first thing in the morning and pick them up at the station later on in the day. So you don't have to go back to your hotel. But that only is applicable to the Disney resort hotels and not Davy Crockett, because that's the only hotel that you have to have your own car. That's not. There's no Ubers. There's no buses. You have to be self-driving to be able to use Davy Crockett.
And it is about 10-15 minutes away.
I think there's a new road. There's a new road. There's a new bypass, which actually it makes it about 5 minutes. But you do have to park in the main car park. You don't have to pay for it. Mickey pays for that for you. But you do have to walk then from the main car park through to the resort. But it swings and roundabouts, because actually if you've got a bigger family, Davy Crockett's quite a nice resort to stay in. It's got a lovely pool with water slides. It's got a great bar. It's got lots of space. It's in the middle of the woods. You've got a barbecue. You've got a kitchen. You've got a sitting area. So if you've got a family the cabins sleep 2 in the double bedroom. There are 4 single beds in the second bedroom. It's got 2 bathrooms. So actually if you've got a bigger family, it's ideal.
It's great.
But you do have to self-drive.
And also, it has things to do there itself. There's archery, there's horses.
There's trails, there's all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, I think...
Our very first trip to Disneyland Paris was actually to Davy Crockett, and both the children were very young at the time, so we were very aware that if we're in a hotel room, the sound of I think it was a 3-month-old at the time, in the middle of the night, was not going to be particularly pleasant. So we actually chose deliberately to actually give ourselves that sort of space that Davy Crockett actually provides for you. And we have so many brilliant memories of that.
Yeah.
Because as a place, it's perhaps not the place that a lot of people would go to, and especially it requires, like Claire said, it requires you to be driving, and that was the bit for me that was. It made or broke sort of the trip, and for us it was great because we needed so many different things, because you're taking a very young child away with you, that essentially if you were going on a plane, you couldn't travel with all of that stuff. So to bundle it all up in the back of the car, it meant that Davy Crockett was an ideal location for us. It really was. So. Can I go back again? Because I'm going at this as a little bit like somebody completely new to it, because like I mentioned earlier, I very much we keep planning to go to Paris, and then suddenly it turns into a Florida trip, as if by magic.
Is this where you like get to the airport and go, okay, Orlando? Paris,
Yeah,
Paris. Which one?
Yeah, it gets to that. Yeah, it gets to that whole bit of the plane. Like, you tot it up and you think, oh. No, let's just save a few pennies and we'll go to Orlando. Peter, you were talking about Val d'Europe, and I know that if anybody's never been before, how far away is that from Disneyland Paris? And as an off-site option, I know that there's like I'm trying to think of the hotel chains, because like the French was at the Ibis and
there's Campanile there.
Campanile, that's the other one I was thinking. Which are very much budget options as well.
As some of the others.
Yeah.
The cheapest option, and the past 2 times we stayed offsite, we've stayed in the Ibis Val d'Europe.
Yeah.
There are 2 there. There's the Ibis and the Ibis budget.
Yeah.
The Ibis budget is too budget for us. I mean, it's really not worth it.
I mean, we've not been, but we've not.
No, that's worth knowing, Peter, because that strikes me as the fact that my backbone and handle a really springy bed for a budget price. That's
The Ibis, I would say that a comparison for Britain is something like Travelodge. They do have Ibis and
Holiday Inn, something like that.
It's no frills, but we stayed there last week. We had a really comfy bed. And you've got a telly, you've got decent bathroom. The bathrooms are not very big, but they've got all you need. You've got your toiletries. The staff are lovely. Staff both times have been really, really lovely.
Quality.
And the breakfast, we have been blown away by the quality of the food. It's a buffet breakfast. It's pretty much everything cold, except you can boil your own eggs. But the quality of the food really blew us away.
And they do some really nice madeleines that they cook fresh, which are really nice. And literally, you can walk out of the Ibis or what's the one nearby? Resid Home, which is a
sort of like a hotel apartment, isn't it?
Yes,
it is. And they're literally 10 seconds walk from the back station of Val d'Europe. And it's literally, once you get on the train, it's 5 minutes to Marne-la-Vallée, and you're at the park.
Okay.
One slight drawback for me, now that I've got dodgy knees, I do wish that they had an escalator
at the
back entrance of the area. In the front entrance, they have escalators, they have a lift. The back entrance, it's stairs.
If you're coming from Paris and you're using the back entrance, then there's an escalator up. But if you're coming from Disneyland Paris, it's stairs.
It's stairs. So, at the end of the day, it's like, in a mask as well.
How much is one stop on the Aria?
5 minutes. So how much money?
How many euros?
Right, okay.
It's about 320, I think.
Yeah, 195 each way.
Yeah.
Or you can buy what they call a carnet, which is 10 tickets, which works out slightly cheaper. It works out the price of 8.
Yeah.
Okay. Just it depends how many days you're going for, and whether you want to go back middle of the day or not, or whether you just want to be in the park all day.
So
the front side of the station has several hotels around it, and some of them are nicer, much nicer hotels.
That's what I was just about to say. So some frustratingly, the hotels that Disneyland Paris have is part of their portfolio. There are a few family rooms. By that I mean rooms that sleep more than 4 people in 2 double beds. There are some. So the Newport Bay and the Disneyland Hotel, when it's open, obviously it's down for refurb currently and it's retheming. But the Newport Bay and also the suites at the Art of Marble Hotel sleep more than 4. And that's with an extra sort of sofa bed single sofa bed in the room. If you have a family of more than 4, or, like me, I have 2 children at opposite ends of the age spectrum, different sexes, who can't share a bed, that becomes then a bit of a challenge in terms of staying in Disneyland Paris Resort, because the room options aren't there. So actually we now have to get 2 rooms. Whereas there are some really great themed hotels that aren't on site. So the Explorers Hotel, you can actually get a room that sleeps up to 10 in 3 separate areas. There's the Dream Castle, there's the Vienna. There's loads of great hotels. And most of them have family room options, which have a separate sleeping area for children, whether that be bunk beds, single beds, separate theming. Right. So if you are, and a lot of them have got a swimming pool as well. So if you're, I think the Explorer Hotel is a real favourite around for some people, because of the opportunity. If you're going as a bigger group, or a slightly more diverse family in terms of ages, you can still get a good value room which is going to suit everybody's needs. So I think it's worth exploring their websites and looking at what's available, rather than assuming incorrectly, unfortunately, that Disneyland Paris has really thought about the fact that people come as a family and they might need more than 2 beds. Sadly not.
And the thing about the partner hotels is that they've got a hotel shuttle. They've got a shuttle to the parks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we looked into that, because it's like, we're driving down there, but it was like, okay, it'd be nice to everyone have a drink. I leave the car at the hotel. I can get a shuttle to the park and back.
Exactly. So you don't have to get the train. You can get the bus.
Yep. That is an advantage and a disadvantage. That group of hotels that you've just mentioned, they tend to be much further away from the station, and you really only get to them via the shuttle.
Or if you're driving,
but then the shuttle is also free. So
absolutely. So it's
swings and
kind of
roundabouts.
swings and
Walking
roundabouts.
distance, I think they're about the same.
It's about 30 minutes in all.
Well, some of them,
not those hotels, but
some of the hotels at Val d'Europe are literally 10-15 minute walk. From
it's closer than you think. It's closer.
Adagio Park Hotel, and a couple of the others are.
I think it's a difficult thing because in Florida we're so used to just getting in a car or being on a shuttle and going somewhere. It's always a different sort of.
This is kind of more like staying at Universal for a few days.
Yes, I think it is. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
Well, what I say is, it's called Disneyland. It's not called Disney World, and so the comparison is with Anaheim or Tokyo rather than Disney World.
Yeah, and I think your analogy about Universal was right, because you could stay on iDrive, which isn't that far, which is
and you can still get a shuttle bus. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you can still probably walk if you wanted to walk. We've done it before from iDrive, half an hour walk, and you can get to a park. So it's just depends whether you want to walk or.
Talking about the shuttle buses, even if you're on site, there are shuttle buses available. However, I would say that unless you're in Santa Fe or Cheyenne and it is bucketing down and you've been walking for 8 hours and you're shattered, probably not worth it, because by the time you've walked across to where you catch the bus, you could be halfway through the village. And if you're halfway through the village, you can nip into Starbucks and get a cuppa and wait for the rain to stop, and then you can wander through past the lake, and you can sit by the lake and watch the ducks, and it's a much nicer experience than.
And you get to walk past the Marvel Hotel.
To be fair, if you're staying in Santa Fe and Cheyenne, I'd still recommend the walk.
I would walk,
unless you've got a lot of luggage with you.
Yeah.
Or as I say, it's bucketing down, and you've got little ones, and you just can't. It's there, but all the others definitely walk. Do not bother with the buses.
Anything around Lake Disney, you're gonna walk. Lake Disney is the square man-made lake in that's just beyond the village, and there are 3 hotels around it. And then you walk slightly further, and then you hit Cheyenne and Santa Fe.
Yeah.
I prefer Cheyenne to Santa Fe because I prefer the cowboy theming. It really is well themed.
So I know we've talked about this before in terms of hotel theming. That originally the six hotels plus the Lodge Hotel at Davy Crockett, they were designed to be themed around different areas of the US. That's changed slightly in terms of the Marble Hotel. It's still New York, but it's Marble New York. But each of them has a very different feel. And one of the questions I always get asked by people who are friends and people who are going is, where should we stay? And I think that's the next bit that I would think about, Becca, is if you know what your budget is, actually the cheapest in terms of, so if you look at Santa Fe and Cheyenne, they are both what they refer to as a value resort. Then the moderates would be Sequoia Lodge, and then Newport Bay is moderate plus, and then the Art of Marble Hotel and the Disneyland Hotel would be your deluxe. If you were comparing them to the US. Now, it does not always follow that the deluxe hotel or the moderate hotel is cheaper. It's more expensive than the value. So you can actually pay more to stay at Cheyenne than you can stay at Sequoia Lodge. And you can pay more to stay at Sequoia Lodge than you can at Newport Bay. So I think when you're looking at booking, check the prices for your dates on all of the hotels, because actually there are some very strange things that happen in terms of pricing.
And if you're fairly flexible, check the days before and after as well.
Absolutely.
And Disneyland Paris has that feature on their website.
It does.
It recommends
which days to travel.
Which days can you travel these days? Because sometimes you can save a few £100.
You really can.
Or sometimes, if you want to, if you've got specific dates, it might be a little bit more expensive. But it just all depends on what hotel you're going in as well.
Yeah, we've certainly found that actually for the date, I think without fail, every time I've looked, I found that actually the prices for the hotels do not follow the gradings, and it depends on, actually
availability.
Availability, but also preference. So, the Hotel Cheyenne has got this fantastic Toy Story theming. It's a really beautiful hotel. It sleeps 4. It's very, very child friendly. And actually, it's preferential sometimes to somewhere like the Newport Bay, which is, beautiful New England style, whitewashed building, but it isn't always the most child friendly. So actually during the school holidays, you'll find that Newport Bay is more cost effective than the Cheyenne, because people want to stay with the Toy Story theming. So when you're looking at where to stay, do check all the prices, because depending on what's happening with school holidays, with French holidays, Spanish holidays, as we said before, you'll find that the hotel prices don't follow suit. So you can get yourself a bargain if you're happy to stay in a deluxe or a moderate rather than a value. Let's face it, you can do that. All the hotels are great, but do double check.
For me, the sweet spot is the Sequoia. It's nicer than some, but not as nice as others. But it's generally a reasonable price, and it's not far to walk.
And it's nice and cozy.
I enjoyed our stay at Sequoia.
But
boy, those rooms need a refurb.
So that's the problem, that Sequoia was the first to be refurbed, and it's ready for it again.
It's ready for it again. Yes,
it's a bit of an update. I hope they keep the Bambi theme though.
I mean, I think it depends on the time of year as well, and that's the weird thing about Disneyland Paris, because I think when you look at somewhere like Orlando or California, and I know there's been some really cold weather in Orlando, but generally you can expect a moderate to good temperature in Orlando, and California very consistent as well. In Paris, Disneyland Paris, you get the extremes from Lake Disney being completely frozen and it being -10 right through to 35 centigrade in the middle of the summer, and you just don't always quite know what the weather's going to do. It's unfortunately maybe it's unfortunate, I don't know, but when they built Disneyland Paris, it's in the middle of agricultural land, so there is no cushioning either side from the elements. It is flat as a pancake. It's like being in Norfolk. and the weather just sweeps in. So if it rains,
Hello, Norfolk.
If it rains, it really rains.
It rains,
If it's hot, it is unbelievably
Really
hot.
and there isn't huge amounts of shade, because actually for 75% of the year it's a grey and tepid. So you do get those extreme temperatures, and I think your hotel choice sometimes depends on the time of year that you're going. So for me, Sequoia Lodge is absolutely a winter hotel, because it's based on woodland Colorado lodges.
It is
beautiful fire. And yet Newport Bay for me would be a summer hotel. It's got the outdoor Lido pool, which is open to the elements, and it's got some beautiful outdoor seating. So I think that look at the time that you're going, what the weather might be doing, no guarantees obviously, and gauge your hotel choice on that as well, if you've got the option.
One thing I would go back to with looking at prices of rooms is that sometimes there are options to pay a bit extra to be nearer the main building or whatever. I would say
it's just the same as
Orlando.
I
would say that for Disneyland Paris, I wouldn't bother. For Cheyenne,
really? I do.
For Cheyenne, you're talking 5 minutes nearer, and admittedly we did it once because there was actually no price difference when we booked, and it chucked it down with rain, so we were very, very glad to be near the main building. But it really only is a 5 minute difference, and if you're further away from the main building, you're nearer the parks.
Do you know what, Jill? I disagree completely. I would always pay to be near the lobby, certainly in Sequoia Lodge and Newport Bay. So Sequoia Lodge has a main building, which is sort of almost like a V shape. And then it has the external lodges. And if you're in the external lodges, it can take you a good 10 minutes to get to the lobby, which is, if you're going to get the shuttle, that's where it goes from, or if you're going to exit, the centre or go to the restaurant. But Newport Bay, it is the longest corridor in the world.
It is,
because those invariably, when we haven't paid the extra, and we're talking maybe £10-15 per room, honestly, you get out it's one of those moments, when you get out of the lift in a hotel and you go, it says, all right, look at this, and it says, the two split and you go left or right, and you can see that your room's going to be as far away as possible, and you go down the corridor and you turn a corner, you go down to the end of that corridor, you turn another corner, you think, I'm going to come back on myself in a minute because it's so far. And some of those rooms in Newport are miles away.
I can see the point in doing it in Newport for sure.
Absolutely. So I have always opted to pay to be near the lobby, or even
but that's really
the upgrade.
But that's really no different than some of the bigger resorts in.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The preferred rooms,
because we were in that sort of room in Sequoia. It was we were like one of the furthest away, but we were the one in the closest one to Lake Disney.
And you had an amazing room, didn't you? You had a great
Oh, you had the room. Yes.
We had the room with the balcony. Shame it was the middle of winter, really. You couldn't enjoy
hold
it.
15 people.
Yeah, the corner balcony, which was beautiful.
I think there's only about
four of them.
4 of those rooms.
Yeah. We've only stayed in lodges because we're too tight to pay the extra. But they've always put us in the one that's nearest the main building. They've always put us in, I think it's Yellowstone. So it's literally across the road and there you are.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a good opportunity to maybe point people in the direction of our YouTube channel.
Yes.
So if you get a chance, the Ben and Becca's video of their room at Sequoia, room is doing it a complete disservice. So I wouldn't even call it a suite. It was bigger than a suite,
wasn't it?
I don't. Yeah, it was on that sort of presidential sort of.
I think the balcony was bigger than the room.
I'd agree. But it was one of those places you really hope that you would ever get upgraded to, or maybe just even just have the chance of going and just having even just a one night stay there.
It's a shame it was the coldest time of year.
Yeah, and I must admit that's where we've been really sort of taken back as to when we've been in Paris. It's always been cold, and it's just the way that it works for us as a family. It's like if you're looking, it's generally heading towards that Christmas bit.
But that is the best time to go.
Yeah,
I know it is, and I would equally just get a little mentioning for for the old parade music or the old Christmas music, the Chanson Noël is the most incredible bit of Disney music.
That is Disneyland Paris to me.
It has to, yeah. And it's just like it's right up there with the Spectrum Magic sort of soundtrack, simply because it's unique to one park. Every single Christmas it's played throughout the whole of December in our house. It takes us back to the place, but equally, it's just such a beautiful bit of music. But it reminds you of being absolutely frozen to death.
I'd agree, Doug.
And I know I am. As a family, we're desperately trying to find our next Disney trip. From some of your words that you've shared in this show, I've been listening, I've been looking at the fact that it needs a little bit of legwork, doesn't it? It needs that little bit of needs that little bit of flicking of the internet to just actually try and find what suits you as a family best. I think, Claire, you described it as the fact that don't just go for the hotel that sort of stands out first, because there might be some other bargain that's there to be had that you don't expect.
Absolutely.
I've really enjoyed the off-site bit, because that's something that I hadn't really sort of factored in at all. So I'm going at this as someone who hopefully is in the shoes of some people who are listening, because actually I've my experiences at Disneyland Paris obviously are limited. I'd love to go back, but I want to go back at a time where it's good for all of us as a family. And I was looking at Christmas. I love the whole experience of Christmas, but that whole experience being overrun and being, if you're the wrong side of Christmas, and I can say exactly because next Christmas has got, I think, is it Christmas on Boxing Day or Saturday, Sunday, which are both sort of there, but the Monday, Tuesday becomes British bank holidays. You're then into the realms. I think that to me is going to put me off.
I think that whole week will be carnage.
I think so, and I think that's where that's where this whole planning part really needs to come back to suiting yourself, suiting what you want as a family. And finding somewhere that's going to be something that's a little bit of value for money. And I think, again, going back to the Orlando experience, I think because we're now into the realms of the 30th anniversary, I think we could possibly see that value being driven out a little bit in the Disney hotels, because they know that they're going to be busy. Because people like me are traditionalists and think, well, 30th anniversary, I need to be there. And it's trying to find it, and it's trying to find it online. So I've got a plan of when I want to go, where I want to stay. What do I have to think of next? What's my next planning thing?
So depending on where you stay, it will be your ticketing. So actually, if you're staying in a resort hotel on site, your tickets are included in the package that you buy. If you buy it through Disneyland Paris, sometimes you go through a third-party website. You can have the option to add them on. There are different travel agents who will do that for you. But if you book directly, then your tickets are included, and that's for the duration of your trip. So from the minute you arrive and check in, and you can check in from 7:00 in the morning if you're arriving early, even if you can't get into your room, until midnight on the day that you exit. So for the entire duration.
And it's park hoppers.
That's just ticked another little box on my list there, Claire.
I know you so well.
Because it's just that thing. Is as you've been talking tonight, that there are so many different variables on this, and the ticketing. Yes, Peter.
It's park hopper tickets as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's crucial. That's crucial, though, isn't it? I've got to say.
Can I just go back to?
Go on, keep going.
Just slightly go back to going about Christmas time.
Yeah.
We went the week after New Year.
Yeah. One time.
And it was quiet, and it wasn't expensive.
Yeah.
And you got all the Christmas celebrations as well.
So schools hadn't quite gone back.
Yeah. It's reading the school calendar really well. And I know from experience, We've gone the week before Christmas when it's been a very early break up from school. It'll be about the 17th or 18th, and you can get in 3 or 4 days before the French schools break up. And it's just it's spotting those little things in the calendar that and I'm not even thinking as a UK visitor. I'm thinking as even somebody from across the pond. If you're thinking you want a little bit of sort of coming across to France and doing something at Christmas, look at the bits that you can actually do out with the really, really busy time. And it tends to be, like Claire said, the hotel costing, you get a flavour as to exactly where the French break up because the price shoots up. If you can play about with it. Becca, you said about varying your days.
Really. Yeah. You can also find those dates online.
Yeah, but I think if you're looking at the pricing, if you're in the UK, everyone jokes about the Centre Parks price jumps. So when the school holidays are because Centre Parks charges you 3 times as much as it was the week before. Disneyland Paris is no different, exactly like Orlando as well, that the prices change depending on who's available to go. And so absolutely, as you say, John, that week, I think this year, 2022, that week between probably the 21st, 22nd of December, right through to maybe the 2nd or 3rd of January, that whole 10 days is going to be really busy because people will take those 3 days off in between. I agree with Peter and Gill. We've been many, many times that first week of January. We're very lucky that the kids at school have always had an extra week's holiday in the first week of January. They tend to go back a week later than everybody else. And we take advantage of that. Absolutely. If you can push into that first week of January, Christmas celebrations tend to last until the 7th of January. Just as a tip, if you're there on the 7th and you get the final Christmas parade, it is amazing because the cast members absolutely go crazy on the last parade. And we've seen that many times. It's amazing the interactions you get and the excitement. Unless they say goodbye to their Christmas parade for the season because it's been going on since the beginning of November. So I love that day. And it feels they do start winding down some of the Christmas stuff around the 4th and the 5th. You don't get Father Christmas or Père Noël after the 25th of December, but you do get the feel, you get the decorations. But that final Christmas parade is always a fabulous one. So,
as Claire said, Disney will also sell you packages for off-site as well as on-site, which includes tickets. So you can stay off-site and have tickets included. We've never done that, have we?
No.
We've either had passes or we bought tickets ourselves.
So, John, that's
doing the math.
Yeah, and I think that's the trick with Disneyland Paris, the same way that you now have with Disneyland California. You can have the option of a dated ticket or an undated ticket. Now, if you choose and you don't have an annual pass and you're not staying on site and you're just going for the day, so maybe you're staying in Paris and you want to go to Disneyland Paris for the day, if people want to do that, they always ask how far is it. It's about an hour and 20 minutes on the RER from Gare du Nord right through to Marne-la-Vallée. You have to change once at Châtelet, but it's about €14. There you are, a bit of quick information there. It is about an hour and 20 minutes, so you can go for the day if you're staying in Paris Central easily. However, the ability to pick up a dated ticket for the day that you want to go completely depends on how busy the park is. And this is the problem that Ben and Becca have fallen into. Where they've modified the park entry system because of COVID, it's allowed them the opportunity to rake the prices depending on the day of the week. So Saturday prices are more expensive than some of the other days of the week. And you can buy a dated ticket. Those tickets, if you choose, say for me, I chose the 5th of April. And suddenly on the 5th of April, I found I couldn't go. Those tickets are non-refundable. You cannot change them. You've lost your money if you can't go. If you buy an undated ticket, you might pay a little bit less, but you run the risk of not being able to use it on the date that you want to go. So it all depends on the park availability on the day. So if you're not sure, those undated tickets are valid for a year. After that, they are non-refundable. So my suggestion is you pick the dates you want to go, check the park availability before you put down any money at all.
That's that's brilliant advice. And on the contrary to that, I would also say that I'm trying to see if my kids are listening as we're recording this. Prior to the very first lockdowns in the UK, we had a trip to Disneyland Paris booked, which didn't take place, obviously, because of circumstances. But because we booked it as a package, we actually were refunded the whole shebang. Yeah. And I can't take my hat off enough to the Disney company that we'd booked through, because actually there was no debate about it. We'd put it all there. They paid the money back really well, and really it put us in that position where, from the depths of not knowing, we were then treated very nicely. And actually, they basically sorted it out. It was done and dusted within a matter of days. And I'm trying to remember. It was I think we were within about 10 days of actually going. And when you look back and you've got like little regrets of what's happened over sort of all of these days, and it's just thinking, that was our big chance to go with the kids at an older age, and to really go and explore Paris for what it is. And
we'll get there.
We will. I don't have any doubts about it. At the moment, again, it's just circumstances change as a family.
I think that's a really interesting point, though, John, about the fact that you got a refund about 10 days out. So any package or any service booked with Disneyland, any package booked with Disneyland Paris, currently at the time of recording, is covered by what they call their Zen guarantee. So actually, you can book it, you can pay a deposit, you can pay your whole amount, whatever it is, to about currently 7 days prior to arrival. You are guaranteed a full 100% refund.
Wow.
Less any travel insurance that you pay. So if you pay for their travel insurance, which comes out at about 30 quid a person, but if you've got your own travel insurance, which everyone should have if they're traveling anywhere, that's
absolutely,
the travel insurance that you pay isn't refundable, but the entire package up to 7 days before you travel is completely refundable. And we've done that so many times because we've booked it and gone, we can't go, COVID. We booked it, we can't go those dates. We booked it. Actually, I found a better deal on a hotel, so I'm going to cancel that one and get that hotel instead. And that is a guarantee, but that's only through the Disneyland Paris website. If you book through a third party, you don't get that. You've had that, haven't you?
In August 2020. When it got to the point, it's like, okay,
can I go, can't I go?
And it was 7 days before we phoned up, got the money back, and then it was a day before we went, we rebooked it.
And I think that's the thing, that you can actually get a better you can actually get a better deal. So don't, that thing when you book a hotel and you go, right, I'm never looking again because I'm going to find it cheaper. And you're going to get really annoyed because I found it cheaper. Do look, and if you find it cheaper, ring up and cancel your original booking and take the new rebook.
And don't be embarrassed by it. It's a very British thing. That is like, oh no, I paid this. I don't want a phone. I won't say
We've done that.
Do it.
You can get
it's actually money in your pocket rather than.
This is it. That guarantee is there to help you. It's not there to hinder you in any way. And if that means you're going to get a cheaper booking in the same hotel because you booked it 2 weeks later, 2 months later, whatever it looks like, take it, use it, get your refund on your original booking because actually there is bargains to be had.
That money saved is actually then you could then put towards either an upgrade,
absolutely,
or anything else.
Your travel or your money, your dinner or whatever it is going to be.
So, lots of people when they go to Orlando like to make part of their planning is the days they spend in the park. Lots of people really like to commando plan WDW. I would say that you don't need to do that for Disneyland Paris. You have to have a rough idea, and we tend to, as a habit, we tend to do the first day, half day, if you like, when we get there in studios, and then do Disneyland Park on that second day, and then catch up on the rest.
So that we start that first full day with the castle, basically. Yeah, we like to save the castle for that first morning, that first full morning. But I would say because they are 5 minutes apart, literally, you don't have to be tied down to we are going to this park this day, that park that day, unless you don't have park hoppers. So, and there is, frankly, studios, even if you do absolutely everything in it at the moment, is still a 3/4 day park at best.
Half day park.
It's like a 2-hour park, isn't it?
Yeah.
Depends which queue you stand in then.
I was more concerned about going commando in Paris. Certainly
not at Christmas, no.
Oh my goodness.
If I get away with it in Orlando because it's a bit warmer, I'm not quite so sure.
But
lots of people do plan an Orlando holiday to the nth degree.
Yeah.
But it's really not necessary in Paris. Have a
rough idea.
Write down your
what you want to do.
Yes, yeah.
Pick your must-dos and then do those, and then anything else.
Yeah, can I also add in as well, and this is from a completely opposite stratosphere, because I know Claire mentioned about if you stayed in Paris coming into the parks, but if you're actually staying on site, the rail network is so good, you can actually have a fantastic day out in Paris. And it's pretty reasonable. And you just basically go and get your train ticket, and you can get into the centre of Paris. Go and enjoy what Paris has to offer. You get a lot more. You get a lot more of the Parisian feel. You get a lot more of the. I'm trying to say it's not the tourist bit, but you actually go and see a lot more of the actual culture. And that was the bit for us on our last trip there. That was a must do, and actually go in and seeing that. We came back with a little bit of we need to go and see sort of more. We need to do more city breaks rather than more than probably Disney breaks to Paris, which is.
But do you know what? You're absolutely right. It's so close. I mean, it is only an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes on the train.
Yeah.
I will just say, not through experience, but through lots of conversations, there is a magnitude of pickpockets on the RER near the Paris Central area. So being bumped, being jostled, my experience of being on the train from Gare du Nord to Marne-la-Vallée is it's busy. It's a busy line. Yeah. Just be true, as you would do in any major
city.
Really be aware of where your stuff is. Don't put your phone in your back pocket. Don't put your money somewhere that someone can access it. Don't be distracted. So someone will bump into you while someone else is taking. So just be super aware of what's going on around you. Yeah. It is absolutely normal in Gare du Nord. For pickpockets to be around, but you'll see lots of armed police who will help you if you have a problem.
I always find that quite reassuring. Armed police do it for me, you know. It's just like you're walking into a station and you just like it's just like it's probably the Scouser in me, you know. It's just like armed police is never good when
feel
you
comfortable. That's normal for you.
That's not a good thing. Armed police
last week
there's been a bit of a mash down the pub when the armed police
whatever takes your fancy, John. Whatever ticks your boxes.
Last week on our trip. At the moment, you still have to wear masks in the stations
and on trains,
but not in Disneyland Paris. Yeah. And we found that as soon as you get into the station, a friendly gendarme will say, "Masks, monsieur."
Yeah.
Actually, someone said, "Oi, mask!" to me. One of the policemen with a big gun. So
you just said, "No, this is my normal face."
And if you just listen to his mate from the armed police would then come and have a go at you.
So that's a really good point, isn't it, Jill? That actually masks are very current now. All the masking has been released in. You don't have to mask in Disneyland Paris at all, other than on the buses or on the transport. Yeah. So
if you want to, if you choose to in busy areas, that's fine. Nobody will look twice at you. But if you don't, nobody will look twice at you either.
We're planning to take our masks with us because we don't know how busy it's going to be. It's going to be Easter holidays, so and in the midst of the 30th anniversary. So
we haven't even mentioned that yet.
No, we haven't.
Which is why a lot of us are planning to go.
Absolutely.
Yep.
There's a 30th, goodness.
Apparently so. Yeah. Comes after the 29th. There's a cupcake.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a bigger cupcake.
There's a bit more than a cup.
It's a little bit more, yes.
Guys, before we talk about that, though, can I just ask? Because, again, all of you guys are really sort of, I would say, DLP sort of regulars and things like that. Except me. So, if I could ask each of you just one thing that I should now go and definitely book, what's that one thing that keeps bringing you back to DLP, right? And I know it puts you on the spot, but actually, I think if anyone's listening to this, it's like, why should you go to DLP? Why should you go to Paris? What is it that keeps you guys going that maybe I've missed, or maybe I've not opened my eyes to, or maybe I should really do on the next trip? There we go. Go on, Peter, away you go.
I'll start, and it isn't something that you book. It's something that just is. Disneyland Paris is one of the most beautiful Disney parks ever.
Yeah.
It's designed to have more grass, more flowers. It's Fantasyland in Orlando is a courtyard in a castle, isn't it? Whereas Fantasyland in Paris has got lots of water, it's got flowers, it's got different areas designed around traditional European countries. So Round Toad Hall is very British, Round Pinocchio is very German Italian, and it's a very beautiful, luscious park, particularly around Adventureland.
Okay. I like that. You're selling at me now.
Yep.
Good. Who's going next?
Who's
going next? Who's going next? I've got a list on the go.
Next.
This is great. Yeah, if you're driving, please don't keep a list. Just go back to how we started the show. This is not a good show for drivers. So you might have to go back and listen again, which is great, because actually it really does help us if you're listening again.
Yeah.
Or pull over at the nearest services where it's safe to do so and listen to the full episode.
Yeah, exactly. Go on, Jill.
I would say it's a similar thing. It's the detail. The amount of detail that was put into Disneyland Paris that's nothing to do with rides, that's nothing to do with shows, things like the arcades either side of Main Street, which you can spend a good hour exploring, particularly if you find little things like there's a little show in Liberty Arcade that's behind a red curtain that basically shows you about the Statue of Liberty. And nobody knows it's there. People think it's a cast member area. And the number of people who I've seen, even last week, there was a family walking down there and the dad was explaining to his little girl about the Statue of Liberty. And I said, tomorrow, if you come back, just nip behind that curtain and have a look at the show.
It's a little...
it's like a little diorama. Yeah, with sound and music and so on. But yeah, so to do with that, it's the castle. You can go in the castle for free. You don't have to pay big bucks to dine with the princesses. You can go down and meet the dragon and be scared silly by the dragon, because the dragon is really impressive. You can go upstairs. You can see the magic windows, the magic tapestries, the snoring knights, all the little details, and you can just wander around upstairs and see the story of Sleeping Beauty built into the castle. And for somebody like you, John, who appreciates all the kind of Imagineering
detail,
and all the background stuff, spend some time in the castle.
And also, I think that's such a brilliant thing to say, Jill. And if anybody hasn't watched it, there is a complete show on the Imagineering story on Disney Plus, which is totally about Paris. It is the most incredible thing to view, because you see that you watch the detail that they actually put into the actual design of this, and it's only once you begin to understand that when you go and you look and you take that step back, and that again, I know I keep going about this, it's taking time to see the detail. It's very easy to just keep, get onto Space Mountain, get onto Big Thunder Manor, step back, spend a little bit of time, absorb how somebody, and I think Joe Rody was involved in quite a lot of the
he was,
design as well, which makes it even more special in my eyes. And I think going back to your comment about the arcades as well, and I think this is one of the nicest things that I took from Paris, is the fact that on the exit from the park, it's just head down the arcades. It's easier. It funnels out right at the exit, but it's a much better way than going down Main Street at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that's just another little planning tip, courtesy.
I just want to clarify something. Jill, you mentioned about the dragon. I just wanted to say that's not your mother-in-law, John.
I'd have been in trouble. It's great now. If she's listening, I'm going to tell her to email you. That's it.
No, his comedy awards are back. Yes.
Brilliant.
I'm going to go next.
Yeah.
So, John, the thing that I would say, the unmissable thing about Disneyland Paris is that it prides itself 100% on being not only not American, but very passionately French.
Yeah.
And I think that comes through in all sorts of different areas. Some of it amusingly so. And I find it, I was talking to someone earlier today about it, and it really makes me laugh. They said, oh, what are you doing over the Easter holidays? I was like, oh, we're going to Disneyland Paris for a few days. And they're, oh, do you like it? And I was like, yeah, I love the fact that it's, you know, it's almost like Disney, but this shrug of Frenchness with it, which is, you know what, you may have a good time, you may not, I don't really care, but it's French. It has this overwhelming just blanket of Frenchness about everything, from the food to the meal service to the cast members who are incredible, and the fact that your attractions will be split in French and English, so that actually you get, it's not the same. And I think this is something that confused our American friends when they went to what experienced Ratatouille's Kitchen Adventures for the first time. They expected the parade to be in English. Well, actually, no, it's a complete lift of the, and it's a sequential story, but you get one line in English and one line in French, so that actually, you know, when you put it all together, it makes sense, but you don't get the whole story in either language. And actually, I think that it exposes you to the Frenchness without being in your face, without being overt, without being offensive to other cultures. But if you can feel that, that cheese and the garlic and the red wine just totally
absolutely
coming through, every single bit from Main Street feels different to, you know, when you wander around Adventureland and the caves that, you know, around Adventureland, it's just so different. It isn't the same as the other parks. And they love the fact that it's not the same. The fact that you've got the arcades, you can walk from the front of the park to the back of the park undercover, because they know it's going to rain, because it always rains. And that's
they could probably done with that the other week in Orlando.
They totally could.
Yeah.
You know, they've considered, and it is about that detail, the fact they've considered the colour of the castle, because they know the sky is normally grey, so they make it bright pink. You know, so it stands out. And I just think that absolutely unadulterated assumption that this is French, we're not going to apologise for it. You're coming to Disneyland Paris. It's in Paris. We want you to absorb that Frenchness. We want you to absorb all the things that come alongside that, whether that be 3 hours for lunch with red wine, which is normal if you're in a sit-down meal, or actually there's mustard on everything in a quick service. You know, it does, honestly, I hate mustard, and that is an issue for me. But it is those things that you just don't always anticipate, but they're there. And that's the stuff that I love. The Jules Verne bits in the Discovery Land, you know, all of that makes it feel, even though some of the attractions are the same, it feels so different. And I love that. And that's what makes me go back. And it makes me want to go there, and it makes me want to go to Orlando, and it makes me want to go to... And I'm sure that Tokyo will feel, when I eventually get there, and Hong Kong and Shanghai, they'll feel different as well. And that's the fascination for me, that it's not just a carbon copy. Why should it be? It's somewhere different. So to embrace that local culture, for me, is the excitement. So, yeah. Sorry, that was a very long-winded response.
No, that's such a great response, because actually... that's one of the things for me that sets it apart. And I think you've hit a nail on the head there about other parks, as you go further and further east, have retained that. And they probably learned that. They've learned that from the Paris experience. There's no point in becoming this bland.
That's the word that I was looking for. It's not bland. People think that
Yeah,
People think it's a lesser version of Walt Disney World.
Yeah,
it's not, and it's not bland, and there's nothing bland about it. You just have to look at it with different goggles on.
You know, because and I think I've said this in other shows. I just marvel in the actual the pride that Americans take in their own flag, in their own park, and I love that. I just that it brings a tear to my eye, and it just makes me the hairs on my arm stand up talking about it. It's part of your holiday, but to actually have the French doing the same thing within their park,
and in their way as well, because it isn't the same.
No,
and that's okay.
And I think that to me is something that is the reason why on that bucket list thing, where you need to go and visit every Disney park throughout the world.
Absolutely.
And it was still.
I'll have to start a GoFundMe for all of us to travel.
Right?
Indeed, yes.
Let's do it.
GoFundMe, I'm going to say something else. If they go something else. They might change
feed
the
me. Yes.
They might change the last word from me to you, but yeah. No, I just think that's what a great answer. I wasn't expecting that, Claire. And as much and I think this is something where I don't know whether to say this or not. Yeah, I'm going to say it because we're the Great British Mickey Waffle. It's something where people in Britain have lost that sense of national identity, and the French have retained it, just like the Americans retain it. They have a love of their flag. The French have a love of their complete culture, and it's maybe something we need as a country.
If you're going to go to Alton Towers or Chessington or Thorpe Park, you don't feel it's very British, do you? You don't.
No.
You might get.
There are a lot of queues.
You might get dodgy fish and chips, stinky toilets, big queues. That's the most British thing. Whereas I just feel that oozing of French culture comes through Disneyland Paris. If you expect it and you accept it and don't assume, and that's the thing that people think it's going to be like America, and they go, they're disappointed. Don't be disappointed. Just look at it with a different lens.
And I think as a lot of people think of it as like, oh, it's an alternative. I'm not going to Walt Disney World, so I'm going to go Disneyland Paris. It's not as good.
It's not.
It's smaller. It's not, and you shouldn't compare it. They're two completely different things.
It is what it is.
Yeah. We love Disneyland Paris. Hence why we got annual passes. And I think it's because we wanted that little bit of magic that was missing, especially in 2020 when we couldn't get to. We managed to get to Disneyland Paris, but it was one of those things that you just sort of. There's so much there that is so different to Walt Disney World when you look at the attractions. Because I know no one's really mentioned the rides, but how different Big Thunder Mountain is. How different Pirates is, because it's not the same. If I was going to go somewhere for the same thing, I'd be going back to Orlando every time.
Phantom Manor.
Fantastic.
And it's not just the different versions of familiar rides, it's the unique attractions that are available.
Do you mean like Pinocchio?
There. Well, no. I was actually thinking. Crush's Coaster. I was thinking Indiana Jones.
Terrifying.
Snow White.
They're terrifying. Ignore them.
I can't do them.
Alice's Labyrinth.
Alice's Labyrinth. Crush's Coaster. Indiana Jones Hyperspace Mountain.
They're all different.
They're all different.
Phantom Manor. As I say, last week we were near to a family of Americans. And they were explaining to their daughters, about this ride. And I said to her, have they been on the American one? And she said, I have, but they haven't. I said, it's a very different story. And it's a bit more scary, but it's pretend scary. It's okay. And when we came out, their littlest child was screaming the place down and in floods of tears. Yes, we're at Disneyland Paris now. This is what we do.
But Jill, that's exactly it. Because actually, in Paris... That's the culture. That's what they want. They want something that's going to be scary. That's got that level of detail. It hasn't got to be, and this isn't meant in an offensive way. It hasn't got to be sanitized. It hasn't got to be. It hasn't got to have that overall, confirmation of appeal to everybody. It's okay for it to be a bit risque. It's okay for it to be a bit more juicy and a bit rough around the edges. That's part of the French culture, and I think that when you understand that and you go, okay, I get that now. I understand why it's like that, rather than it's not the same as Orlando or it's not the same as California. that's the fun bit for me, is seeing the difference.
Yeah.
Sorry, can I just add something that connects with what Claire said? The characters will answer to their name in any language.
That's such a good point, Peter, because you can get some really unique autographs.
You can,
Because they're in
Goofy
French.
might be Dango in French.
Yes.
Wow.
Tick and Tack is Chip and Dale.
Yes.
And Mike Wazowski is Bob. I don't know why, but it is.
Apparently,
Like Kate, short for Bob, for Blackadder reference.
I was going to say, does that make Chapek? Like
Wazowski.
Now I understand.
Someone needs to put the microphone, or he needs to put something in front of his face.
But yes,
that is a good point. That kids might be surprised by the fact they get an autograph from Cendrillon rather than Cinderella. Or Dango or something like that.
If you have small children, make sure that the characters know that they speak English and they will sign the right name for them.
Yeah.
But for an adult, it's
Or if you're an autograph completist.
Yeah, right.
You can you can go to town on this, couldn't you? Sorry, I'm just my brain's ticking over on this one.
Yeah. And you get some different characters as well. That's the other thing.
You get a lot. Yes, you do.
So you will get Marie, Toulouse, and Berlioz from Aristocats in the parks, which is not that common in America because they're French. You do get some really interesting. You get Frollo. You get you sometimes even get Esmeralda and was it Clopin who from Hunchback. So you do get some different characters that are the
Queen of
norm
Hearts
there.
is often out.
We met Geppetto.
We've got the
Geppetto definitely.
Lovely.
So you do get some alternative characters that you might not find so easily in America.
I think I've got a question. This is actually from one of from someone on Twitter whose message is saying, "What are our must-do dining experiences at Disneyland Paris?"
Ooh.
I'm going to start, and it's just because I thought I'd get this in there quick. Silver Spur Steakhouse. We've been there once.
Okay. Yes.
The menu's changed
the menu.
slightly, but it was probably one of the best steaks that I'd ever had. Until our most recent trip to Walt Disney World. And it's somewhere that I'm looking forward to trying again, whether the menu goes back to the way it was, but it was come with blue cheese sauce.
Which isn't on there anymore.
It's not on there anymore. It's really, really frustrating, but I'm wondering whether that's possibly just current climate, just things have changed. But
the theming's cool in there.
Oh,
it is.
Theming's amazing.
And we had the most lovely cast member the first time who would just randomly walk past you, do an impression of Donald Duck for no reason.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah,
You can.
Yeah, why not?
I would. Can I cheat and have two?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
When it reopens,
Why not?
When it reopens, Waltz on Main Street.
Yeah.
It really is worth it. It's expensive, but you get great views of Main Street, and there's loads of Waltz memorabilia and.
So that reopens
really
in 6 days at the time of the podcast coming
on
out.
6th of April.
And I think you're right, Peter, that absolutely Waltz is a unique experience in terms of the fact that the restaurant itself is split into several different rooms, and each room is based around one of the park, the lands in the Disneyland park, and has a very different experience based on where you sit. And the food is outstanding. So Waltz, absolutely. It's not the cheap option, and it isn't a quick option either. So it's only open at lunchtime. And bearing in mind, we are in France and people take a long time over their lunch in France. And, it may or may not involve red wine, just saying.
White wine.
No, red wine in France, always. It may take 2 hours or more to have lunch. So don't expect to be in and out in 35 minutes.
I was worried you were going to say that was just for the starter.
Well,
2 hours for your starter.
Yeah.
I'd love to go. They're not accepting bookings at the time.
I have a booking.
Oh.
You have to
We're
tell us
going
how
on the
you've got that.
19th of April, which is 2 days after my birthday, and I can't wait to be back.
You're going to have to tell me how you book.
Yeah.
If
I'll
you're
tell
a
you the
couple,
secret.
you tend to get put in Main Street.
That's fine.
Well, you can ask to be put in Main Street.
I have to eat outside.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
on the pavement. Go on.
Yeah, there are lots
Seen you a
of
lot
tables.
before.
There are tables overlooking Main Street. If
Yeah.
Waltz is open in the afternoon,
As it is sometimes.
yeah, and you time it right, you can watch the parade from above.
Absolutely. And we've done that several times.
Sit there slowly eating your dinner and
Enjoying the
slowly
parade.
having
Yep.
your after dinner coffee.
I could just see. I don't know whether that'd be suitable for John though, because I'd be thinking, okay, Big Thunder Mountain is a 25-minute queue. Why am I here still
Gotta be
eating?
tapping as well. Come on.
That's it.
one. Yeah.
Just get back to you there on that one, Ben, because actually that's what sets Waltz apart from any other place. And I know I've said before, I hate being in a restaurant in a park when there's short queues.
Stuff
But
to do.
Waltz is the exception, and it I think that comes from it actually only being open from lunchtime, and like Claire said, it becomes lunchtime to about 3, 4 o'clock, and it's just
Rolls into tea. Yeah.
great choice, Peter, and great choice. What's your
My
second
other
one?
choice is King Ludwig's in the village.
Little
It's
tartiflette.
really well themed.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful restaurant. And it's not too expensive. And they've recently had a change of menu and it's improved.
That's a really interesting choice. We avoided it for years and years and years. So King Ludwig's has been there for about 20 years.
Yeah.
And we avoided it because there are other people in my family. I'm not eating German food. That was literally the conversation.
Wonder who that was an impersonation of.
Not eating German food. But I'd agree. We have eaten there probably 4 or 5 times, and really unique environment actually. And the Alsace style food is unique as well.
Yeah.
So if you want a bit of sauerkraut, you can have that. If you want tartiflette, have that. If you just want some chicken, the menu is quite varied.
It is.
People think it's a stein of beer and a big bratwurst. Oh, here we are again. It's not all about that. It's not all about the sausages.
Yeah, the flatbreads, the tartiflettes and so on. The flatbreads are really nice and quite big. Last week we'd had quite a big lunch, so we didn't want much. So we had a sharing platter. And really hot, which you don't always get in Disney parks. Really hot food, really fresh, lovely. We had happy hour drinks, sorted.
Excellent.
Ben and Becca.
You've already given yours.
What is mine?
I'm going to say Earl of Sandwich, actually.
Okay.
I know that sounds really weird, but what?
Sorry.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. It's nice
lovely.
to sit upstairs.
It's lovely.
Sorry.
You sit upstairs and look over Lake
Upstairs,
Disney.
it's cheap and cheerful.
I wasn't expecting.
What were you expecting?
I was thinking maybe like Cafe Mickey.
No, the food wasn't that brilliant. The character interactions at Cafe Mickey were amazing, but the food wasn't that good.
So, on that note, is it worth mentioning that Cafe Mickey will not be reopening?
Yeah.
No.
Cafe Mickey is dead in the water.
The bulldozers are going in.
They are, and they are rebuilding an entirely new restaurant with 500 covers.
Wow.
500 covers
How'd
in
you
one
do that?
restaurant. Right? How big is the kitchen going to be? They're going to need Ramsay, Jamie Oliver, the whole works.
How cold is the food going to be by the time it gets to me?
Who builds a restaurant with 500 covers in it? My goodness, that's huge. My guess is they're going to extend all the way across towards the Art of Marvel Hotel. They're going to have to double, triple the size of the restaurant that's there at the moment. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. But it is going to be a traditional Parisian
Hoping you can
brasserie.
get a reservation.
Well, 500 seats, you'd hope so.
Oh, goodness.
Depends on time of year. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But
Okay,
it's not just Cafe Mickey they're getting rid of.
No, I know.
Or getting rid of.
Let's
I
come
should
back
say.
to that because I haven't given my restaurant choices. So
This is true.
I don't really know where to start, John. I'm going to give you a whole list. So my first would be, I'm going to go different budgets. So for the reasonably cost-effective option, Hunter's Grill in Sequoia Lodge.
Yep.
You can eat in same as in Walt Disney World. You can eat in any restaurant in any hotel, even if you're not staying there. The Art of Marvel hotel restaurants are a bit tricky to get reservations for at the moment, but that will settle down. Hunter's Grill in Sequoia Lodge is a hidden gem. It doesn't get a lot of footfall because you have to purposely go there. It is just as you walk into the hotel on that ground floor. I think the food there is outstanding, and I've had nothing but good meals in there. I've never had a bad meal in there at all. It is a buffet. But the appetizer selection is incredible. They have a lot of shellfish. They have lots of French meats and cheeses. They always have a big selection of main courses, huge selection of desserts, including ice creams. There's usually someone making crepes or something exciting. And they always have something speciality as well. So in the winter months, they have a raclette. So they have a man with his cheese stinking out the whole lobby of the hotel.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Steering off, you've got your potatoes and your bread, and he'll slice you off some hot cheese on top. Honestly, and it's about, I think current price is about €35 an adult and 28 for children. So that actually it's not expensive when you look at the general cost, and that's your all you can eat buffet. So Hunter's Grill for me is, and we're actually eating there when we go in April because it is a favourite of ours. Second place I would look at is the steakhouse in the Disney Village. So that's the massive Chicago style steakhouse. I think that was probably the first restaurant we ever ate in back in 1992. I remember going there, and it's a huge warehouse style Chicago steakhouse. They have some amazing cocktails and drinks on the menu, apparently. But the steaks again, there is a variety of a bavette steak right through to a ribeye, and I think that there is something for everyone. And then the other place that I would say, other than Walt's, is somewhere that is currently closed, but Inventions in the Disneyland Hotel.
Yeah, absolutely.
When it reopens, Inventions, if it opens in the same vein as it was previously, which is a high-end buffet, I will always spend my money and go there. But always ask not to sit in the big rotunda area, the octagonal room at the end, because that's like a feeding time at the zoo. So I tend to ask to be near the buffet or in one of the separate rooms. But Inventions, it's not cheap. It's, at the time when it was open last year, was €75-80 per person. But the quality of the food was outstanding, and those are just three of the highlights. I think Annette's in the Disney Village is great for a 50s style 50s style diner. There's lots of options in terms of hot dogs and burgers. They also do a cracking breakfast for about €15. When you compare that, actually the hotel breakfasts are €20 plus. But Nanette's does a really great breakfast. And also the other places, if you like something high end at the moment, the Yacht Club in Newport Bay. Cape Cod is the buffet, but the Yacht Club has a really unique French, very, very French seafood style menu with lobster and there's some oysters on there, and incredibly capable chefs preparing that food. Very, very fresh. So I think there is something for everyone. And those are just the table service restaurants, and that's before you even start on the.
You're now making me hark back to the trip that we actually had booked, because we had half of those already booked as well.
Sorry,
and it's just like, when you're just thinking, we booked that one, and we booked that one, and it's just like, because there is some real standout dining experiences as well.
Food and drink is something Paris does well.
Doesn't it just?
Disneyland Paris does food and drink, and every restaurant is different.
Can I just be really controversial? And actually, I'm going to add my own favourite restaurant in here as well. And actually, I don't like the menu. I hate the menu. I hate the menu, but I love the restaurant. And actually, Captain Jack's, which is part of the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It's one of the most amazing things to just sit and watch the ride pass you by. Yeah. But the menu is just like so out of keeping with Paris. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, if somebody could get into the kitchen there and just tweak the menu so that actually would appeal to the wider family.
The menu is Caribbean.
Well,
but
it's
basically,
not even good Caribbean.
well,
is it?
yeah, exactly.
it's not.
Whereas Caribbean, you could have jerk chicken and things like that, and
It's-
rice and
I think
beans.
you want it to
No.
be French Caribbean, don't you?
Yeah,
You want it to be
but actually,
looking
what-
at somewhere like
yeah.
Martinique or
Yeah.
somewhere like that.
What they tend to mean by Caribbean is put mango and coconut and
Coconut.
pineapple and curry in everything.
Don't do it for me. Don't do it. But
So,
there you go.
yeah.
I think the
Beautiful location.
location is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
And you may well see Captain Jack Sparrow in there these days.
There you
Depp.
go.
He
We've
has-
met Captain Jack Sparrow in there, yeah.
We've seen him. He has been
Johnny
known to
Depp.
pop in.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget Ratatouille as well.
Remy. Yeah, Bistro
Remy
de
is
Remy.
I think the Bistro de Remy is overpriced for what the options are on the menu. I
But
don't think it's,
Don't go for the cheap menu. It's
The theming is
Yeah.
exceptional.
the
Peter.
theming's incredible.
Theming is exceptional.
You see, we've had a bad steak at Silver Spur last time because they were only doing the cheap ones. The first time we ate there, we paid up for the more expensive menu, but now they're only doing the cheap ones, and it wasn't good. We had a bad steak at Steakhouse, Chicago Steakhouse in the village.
Yeah.
We've never had a bad steak at Remy, and we've eaten there maybe 4 times.
I think it just
and-
shows that the options are
Basic menu.
the options are varied, aren't they? The other thing
But
I'd say,
we've never paid up for the expensive one, and we've never had a bad steak.
the other thing, John, is that Disneyland Paris have made some significant improvements to their vegetarian and vegan options.
They have,
Previously,
absolutely,
if you had a dietary requirement and you were potentially vegan or gluten-free or had specific dietary, very, very differently to Orlando, where the chef would come and chat to you. I know we talked about this before, and make you something incredible. In Disneyland Paris, you got a microwave meal, which was bland, mush, and greyish green in colour, regardless of where you were. And it literally came out in the plastic container with a cellophane on the top because that's all they offered. That has changed, and there are now some really great speciality diet menus. So I think if you have a modified diet or you have a dietary preference, don't get scared anymore. Because previously the experience was good. That has changed in the last few years.
Okay.
And the other thing is that if you've got a small child who is under 2, they do offer free baby food in the restaurant, sit-down restaurants as well. So if you're sitting down for a meal with your family, yes, your child can dine off your plate and pick and choose how many chips they want, like your wife might do. But you can actually ask for the baby food option, and they'll bring you a heated up baby food meal, whether that be a age appropriate option. So that's always available as well. So, and that's free for people who are sitting down and eating.
Oh, that rings a bell for me because I actually think you get a choice as well as to which.
Yeah, you can have there's usually a vegetarian option.
Which brand it was.
Yeah.
Because actually we actually came across a brand whilst we were there when and this is now going back
Going back a bit.
years. Yeah. But to offer that level of service and actually for a child that's so young, and obviously you're on holiday, you don't want to be giving them food that they're not sort of compatible
what's going
with.
to happen, do you?
No, and that to me was that was exceptional. It really was. I've totally forgotten about that, Claire. Really had.
I've not done mine, and it's interesting that nobody's mentioned quick service, and there's a reason for that. Quick service doesn't exist at Disneyland Paris. Counter service does, but it ain't quick. Queues are long. In my experience, the food is often not great and often not hot. So we tend to not bother much with quick service, but I recognise some people prefer to do quick service, counter service. They are starting to bring in mobile ordering. At Casey's Corner, you can do mobile ordering now, and Cafe Hyperion in Videopolis, you can do mobile order. So that may be something to bear in mind. But yeah, if I want a burger at Disneyland Paris, I would go to Five Guys.
Yeah.
Basically, same price, better quality. But I don't rate that many of counter services, but I will give props to New York style services in New York style sandwiches in the village. They do a coffee, pastry, juice deal in the morning. So if you haven't got breakfast booked, with your hotel package and you don't want to go to Starbucks or McDonald's or Earl of Sandwich, that's a good option. They do pizzas, they do baguettes, they do Mickey-shaped pizzas now, hurrah.
Does the food there come from the same kitchen as the sport cafe next door?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah, I think so.
But it's not the same menu.
No.
I got a Mickey-shaped roll sandwich there last week. So French. What do you think a Mickey-shaped sandwich in France would involve? It involved smoked salmon, cream cheese, beetroot.
I was thinking ham and cheese, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's,
And mustard. Don't forget the mustard.
Yeah, mustard.
Yes, no,
Mustard's
it
never
didn't have
gonna do.
mustard. But yes, it was really good. It was a big brioche roll and smoked salmon and beetroot and cream cheese. That was really nice.
Can't complain something that's Mickey shaped.
No.
And Mickey-shaped food has no calories.
Obviously.
So you're fine there.
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's
And,
interesting, isn't it, Jill, that the quick service or counter service options, 80% of them are really not the best. I think Becca mentioned Earl of Sandwich, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You like the New York sandwiches. Avoid, I cannot stress this enough, avoid eating
Uncle Lee's.
inside Studio One.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uncle Lee's,
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do not
Yeah.
eat there. And that's not because the cast members are bad or the food is dodgy. It's just busy, not clean, and the food is dire. So avoid, please.
Yeah.
If
There's
you
so many
take
better
no
options.
other bit, if you take no other bit of advice,
Yeah.
do not
In
eat
fact-
inside Studio One.
Yes, at the moment, in fact, don't eat inside studios unless
You go
unless you are there when there's a food festival on, as there has been recently, and you can get something from the booths, or you can get a Mickey waffle from one of the carts there.
As
But,
we're talking about food, should we just quickly give a mention to something that hasn't been at Disneyland Paris for very long, and that's the Mickey Premium Bar.
Yes, that's like a month, isn't
Yes.
it? It's been
They're
there.
everywhere, and they're cheaper than in America.
Yeah, €4
Getting one of
50.
those.
Yes,
And the turkey leg is there as well. Up in
Won't be getting one of those.
Frontierland.
and
You so
Is it
desire.
American-sized turkey leg? Do you think?
I didn't see one.
and Dole Whip is there, although it's pineapple whip, but it is apparently the genuine article now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But it's only at Café de la Bruce, which we never found open anytime we were near there.
Okay. It's on the list.
Yeah, it's on the list. But anyway, my restaurant, not wanting to do any of the ones that have been chosen before, even though I love most of them, I will say California Grill,
When
which
it's
is
open.
nothing like California Grill in America. It's much more like Victoria and Albert's. It's very upscale. It's a very special occasion. It's in the Disneyland Hotel, so obviously at the moment it's not open. But they do a very, very upscale package called the Sparkling Experience, which when we did it was about €200 each. And it involved unlimited cocktails in the bar with snacks. And then I think it was a 5-course tasting menu with wines.
So I think you're right. I wonder for both Inventions and California Grill how those are going to look when they retheme the whole of the Disneyland Hotel, because Cafe Fantasia really isn't going to fit, and I don't think that either of those restaurants are going to retain the same identity that they currently have. I think there's going to be some changes. I think they'll probably change the theming, the layout, and the menus for those places.
Yeah.
So for both of us, I think it'll be an interesting change, and next year when the hotel reopens, we'll find out a bit more. But I think the hotel needed a refurb at least, if not an update. We shall see.
Can you believe we haven't touched on anything from the 30?
I know, and we're like 2 hours
2 hours.
in. And
I think what we should
a
do.
separate episode?
I had an idea. Well, if anyone wants to know about what's happening with the 30th anniversary, they tune in on the 6th of April.
Perfect idea, Ben.
We're all going well with Disneyland Paris's Wi-Fi and all my data.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
We will be discussing everything that we can find from the 30th live on our Wafflers Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we've been there already to do some of the 30th, so we can
We can chip in.
we can chip in, yeah.
Officially, I think the 30th the exact date was the 12th of April.
Correct?
Yeah.
So we'll be there.
So we'll be there just before, and
Just
I think
before.
Claire will be there just after. So it will carry on with our month of Disneyland Paris.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I think that's exciting because we don't talk about DLP that much. We tend to focus on the stateside parks. And I think that we are in a really privileged position where all of us have been, whether that be recently or a while ago, we have access to them quite readily, and that we have experienced different times of the year. And I think that's the thing. Disneyland Paris has a very different feel at different times of the year. The consistency is not there. You do get peaks and troughs in terms of the amount of activities and extras on top of the attractions that are on offer. You get different opportunities in terms of restaurant opening in different seasons. So I think for us to be able to highlight some of those on our Wafflers Wednesdays is going to be really great fun alongside the 30th stuff, because that's a lot of that is new and they put a lot of time and effort into looking at the 30th.
So I'm wondering what attraction we're going to break down on this time.
Well, it won't be a Small World because that's shut. That's
Yes.
Can I just point out? Can I just point out as well, for those people who listen to us as a podcast only, you might wonder what this Wafflers Wednesday is, because actually we are live every single Wednesday night on Facebook and YouTube. We try to fit it into an hour. Sometimes we go a little bit over.
Sometimes. Usually. We always go over.
Yeah, we always go over. But what we try to do there is just expand on some of the things that we, things that are just not podcastable, things that are just having a chat, and actually because it's YouTube and Facebook, then you can get in the chat.
Yeah.
So any questions that you've got, ask them. We can get back to you straight away, and you become part of the show. So for as much as a podcast, this becomes a recorded thing that you listen to walking the dog, driving the car, out for your run, things like that. We exist in a different format as well. So if you've not checked it out before, go to our website, www.gbmickeywaffle.com. You can get the links to all of that there, because it's great. Wednesday nights are just such a great laugh, and I think this is a great opportunity to continue this conversation.
Yeah. We have so many different topics that we've spoken about. I think what have we done? Was it car hire?
The lot.
Shopping.
There's not a lot we've not done. There's not a lot.
I think the only thing we need to talk about is car parks.
Yeah, I can talk for an hour about car parks without.
Exactly.
We talked about the pavement, concrete,
everything concrete,
concrete and trash.
Don't forget the bins.
Yes. And today, on the day that this is released, you'll find a really special live show tonight. If you are at a loose end at 11 o'clock UK time, we'll be half asleep. We won't. Yeah. We're going to be talking about something that isn't Disney. We've got a late lock-in at the Wafflers Arms, as John mentioned earlier, at the our very own virtual pub. We're talking about Ted Lasso. So if you're listening to this in the morning of the 1st of April and you like a bit of Ted Lasso and Roy Kent and Nate the Great, please come and join us for a chin wag about Ted Lasso. I will be behind the bar like May and trying to enjoy a bit of the old arrows.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be great fun. And if you're listening to this after the 1st of April, go back and find the replay if that's your thing. I'm sorry. I've got to say, it's the one thing I'm so looking forward to this, because I can't wait.
Ted Lasso has just been the greatest thing I've seen since Afterlife. And if you've never seen it, go and sign up. If you've got
Ted Lasso is the best thing since sliced bread. I don't think that makes any sense.
That's the sort of thing Ted would say. Yeah.
Don't forget to bring your shortbread biscuits as well.
Bring your biscuits with a boss, and lots of tea.
It's much needed. And that's it. We've got so many different things that we're doing. So podcast Wednesdays, Ted Lasso on the 1st of April.
Who knows what else in the future?
Just a whole lot.
That is true.
Get to the website, check us out, and And failing that, if you've missed it all before, go and have a look at the YouTube site because actually it's all there.
There's loads
It
on
is.
there.
It's all there. It's all there.
So it's something else you can check out on our website if all of this planning has made you want to book a trip, is our travel partners, Neil and Karen over at Portwood Travel. So all of their links are up on there as well. Just be sure to tell them that we sent you. So we hope that you found this show useful in planning your next trip. Coming in our middle of the month show, we've got Sarah and Wes from Infinity Parkware. So if you're listening to us in your favourite podcast app or watching our lovely faces on YouTube, just click the subscribe button so you won't miss out on any of our future waffling. And if you want to contact us, like the lovely lady or gentleman that asked the question about food earlier, you can do so on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at gbmickeywaffle using our email, which is waffleon@gbmickeywaffle.com. So there's just one thing left to say. Claire?
Gaufre sur.
Waffle on.
I'm speechless. Claire's done it.
I've done it.
Wow. That's it.
Waffle on.
Waffle on!